welcome to this tutorial in which we are going to look at making a real-time and a game time clock, both analog and digital. So again, as always, if you find any part of this video useful, please remember to like, subscribe, share the video, positive comment below, or even suggestions for future comment in the comments. Future content in the comments. Okay, the reason I'm doing this is in one of my personal projects, in the game I'm working on, I need clocks through the game because timing is going to be part of the feature, the mechanics for it. So I had to look up how to go about it. So what I'm going to do is I've already created a script called real-time clock. I've not actually opened it yet, but let's have a look and we'll take it through step by step. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is get the current system time. Now, if we were in a normal Visual Studio project, say normal C# in a Windows form or something, I could just go date time DT1 for date time 1, and that would be fine. I could now access the current operating system's clock, but this is Unity C#, and it's not got the .NET libraries built in. So if I go over it, show potential fixes, and it'll just tell me use system.datetime. So I could just come up here and type in using system, or I can just use this shortcut here. I think I want to experiment a bit more, and if I say using system, will it incorporate lots of libraries or just the one little bit I need? So for now, I'm just going to leave this as it is. Okay, so I've got my DT1. So like I said, by my date time 1, this is just bad habit programming for variable names, really. I'm now going to have a couple of variables. Am I going to do that? Yep. No, I'm going to come down to start. And I'm going to say dt1 dot system again, because that's what I kind of need right now. No, it isn't. Confusing myself. System dot datetime. There we go. Datetime dot now. I do rather like IntelliSense, even though I've been coding these lines for years. It's not a function. Don't need the brackets. So that will now get me the time. And if I put my mouse over it, it should start to give us. Well, okay, I'll do this instead. DT1 dot. We can see all the things it's got. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here. I remember once I did write my own datetime class way before .NET came out, and it was about 400 lines of code, and now we can do things in one, which is fantastic. So if I just say, I'm not going to, yeah, I'll leave that there for the moment, which is we've now got what is the current time. So I could just see if this is working by doing some debug.out. I'm going to just try and speed up a little bit so you don't have to just watch me typing lots and lots, because I've already previously typed this. So that's just me getting the time at the beginning. I'm repeating this command in the update function, creating 3 variables for hours, minutes and seconds, and I'm getting the DT1 hour, minute and seconds, obviously. And now I could just go, and again, to save you having to watch me type lots of things, I will explain it though. I'm just creating a string, which I'm calling buffer. That's just what I always call my temporary string handling things, buffer. So the real time is hours, so it's that variable, dot to string. Now putting 2 zeros between speech marks means it will give me 2, it's not decimal places, what becomes before the decimal point. So if it's just 1 o'clock, it'll give me 0, 1. So it'll prefix it with the first 0. You'll see in a moment. So I'm converting the hours, then the minutes, then the seconds. So if I just save this now, and I go back into Unity, it's obviously compiling the code. You can see it's obviously already saved just there, which is good. So what I'm going to now do is I've got a clock, sort of an empty prefab so far ready to go. So I've got a clock. I'm going to drag my code on, and if I just press, I'll go into console mode. That's from something else. I'm just going to press play, and we should start to see it counting, well, displaying the time. If I've done it correctly. Nope, because I forgot to do something. I do incorporate these mistakes on purpose, you know, just so you can see in the common mistakes when people say, why is this code not working? This is why. I forgot to actually output it. So I'll go back again, and now it's going to debug.log, so it's going to output this buffer. So back into Unity, press play. And like I said, this is just showing us how we can get the current system time and stick it into a couple of variables. There we go. We can now see it's 10 past 12 and 55 seconds. So it's going to keep on counting up. Obviously, I'll stop that. Okay, next step. We don't want it in console. That's not great. Let's stick it onto a canvas so we can see what's actually happening. So I'm just going to stick with the bog standard canvas. Load that up. I'm going to give myself a text box. So UI, the Text Mesh Pro. For you, if this is your first time, it will ask you want to import Text Mesh Pro. Yes, you do. I'll just call this time 1, just in case I want to use another time in a little while. So there's our canvas, there's the time, a bit surprised I can't see the borders again. I'm just going to put time 1. Let's have a quick look. I'm just going to lock this to the top left. So I'll just move that up a little bit. I'm just a bit surprised I can't see the borders. That kind of really annoys me when it does that, and I don't quite know why. I've probably missed something out. Either way, that'll do. It's in the blue space for now. So I'm just going to put new text. Obviously, time, don't really need that at the moment. I'm going to make it go black writing for now, or more green, because a lot of digital clocks are green. That'll do. So I'm now going to go back onto my code, and we're going to create a link to this canvas. So using TM Pro, down here I'm going to create a text box, temp text, and this is going to be my time text. Again, variables are entirely up to you, and I want it to be public so that I can access from the inspector. There are other ways, but I'm just going to stick to public for now because it's less typing. So I'm going to do that. Yep, that's fine. And then this is the reason I put into the buffer, by the way. It's because I can now just go time text. Oops. Time text dot text, probably a bad variable name really, equals buffer. That should do, because if I'm reusing this over and over, I don't have to keep retyping this entire string in. Okay, so I've saved that. Let's go back. Let's check it out. Okay, we compiling. Did I press save? Yes, I did. That's fine. Okay, so I'm now going to click on our clock, and what we should have got is our text box. So now I can drag the text over there. I'm going to press play now. We should see the time coming up in the window, and I'll go and delete I'll comment out the debug code in a moment. There we go. We've now got our real time 1, 2:13. Ooh, that's not right. It's not 2 o'clock. Let's go back and look at the code. Did I do something wrong? Have I missed? Oh, it's actually put the 1 up there and then 2. I get it. That's easy enough to fix. We can click on our time box, can edit the actual thing itself. There we go. We can see the actual corners now. Yes, if we click on the canvas, we can see that's where we're actually looking up at this top bit. So if I just pull my time over itself, I can pull this to the top left, pull that to that side, and I can stretch this box out a little bit. So now when I press play, it will be all on one line. Okay, so there we go. Real time, 12:14 and 8 seconds. You'll be able to test now whether I pause this video or not as I'm going along. Okay, so that's how we can do a digital clock. What I'm going to do, and I've not tried this yet, so you're going to see this for the first time. I jumped to Blender a moment ago while I was waiting for some stuff to compile, and I created a little clock. Where did I save it? Should be in here somewhere. Couldn't see it for looking. There it is, clock radio. So I've just made this in Blender. It's a simple cube with a couple of materials on, so hopefully if I drag this into the scene, it's in 0 coordinates. Yep, that's fine. Oh, that's really I know it's done. It's got all the other stuff with it, hasn't it? I don't need the camera and I don't need the light, so I'm just going to turn those off. There we go, little clock radio. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and map. In fact, I should really have painted out that clock, and maybe I'll do that shortly if I need to. I've got an idea how to work around it though. So if I click on my canvas, I'm going to keep going back into my Sheffield accent there with things like gunner. I'm going to turn to world space. I'm going to make this a whole lot smaller. So right now scale. Let's just turn this down to 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. Oops, didn't tab over. 0.1. So it's still over there. How big is that compared to my clock radio? I see. Need to turn this to 0, 0. Now where's my canvas now? Still too big. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Okay, are we any closer to being the right size? It's still too big. That's fine though. We're a bit smaller now, so I can just probably shrink this down considerably. I know the problem now as well. The camera is over there somewhere, and the clock radio is backwards. So I'm going to have to rotate this clock radio. By the way, if you press F, F will focus in on the item you're clicked on. So if I was to sort of go somewhere else and then just press F, it sort of zooms it in a little bit for you. Okay, so I've got the clock radio. I shouldn't have really rotated it because I'm now, there we go, 1/8. I'll do it manually. Okay, so this is taking longer than I was expecting. So if I click on my canvas now, I'm going to shrink this down again. Is that too much? I should really make this canvas a whole lot smaller so I can see kind of what it's doing. Like I said, there should be some borders which would have made it easier. Okay, really, I might speed this up and you might see me squeaking instead. But I suppose it's good to see that it does sometimes take time to faff. Okay, I'll press play. Let's just see how bad that looks for the moment. Okay, obviously we don't need all this time over there, do we? So I'm just going to press stop the game running, go back into my code. Let's change the real time. Let's just move that away for the moment. Don't really need that. Press save. I'm just going to comment that out as well because I don't need it processing that at the moment. Okay. So if I press play again, let's have a quick look. Okay, still too big, but that's not a problem. Let's just shrink it down. I know it's not quite what the real clock is, and I might change that to red in a moment just to match it. But again, you can play as you see fit with things like this. For example, I should just take the seconds off to make it go properly. Now, because we can see the clock through it, I could just nip into the Photoshop and just basically mask that out. But since I'm still in Unity and I don't want to waste time loading up Photoshop, I'm going to click on my canvas. I'm going to go on to UI. I'm going to do raw image. I'm going to move that over. Let's shrink this down a little bit. Let's give that a sort of a very dark kind of reddish back colour. If I move that, can't see how to move it. There we go. Okay, let's. Okay, so there we go. I've basically just put the raw image above the time, so now the time's playing. Now the other problem is, you've probably noticed the mistake. I forgot to press stop, which means as soon as I press stop now, it's undone all my changes. But you kind of get the general gist. So I'll just pause while I fix that. Okay, just spent a bit of time quickly doing a quick fix. So of course, because the writing is red, I could change the colour very quickly. So now we've got a clock. I've also removed the seconds from it, so it's now got the hours and minutes on there. Okay, so again, it's not a particularly exciting video, but it does show you how you could put a real-time clock. And I think if you're making VR games, this could be really useful so that your players are aware of how much time is passing while they've got a VR headset on, which I know has been a problem. When I've been playing VR games, you can get that absorbed, you forget where you're up to. Okay, so that's how we can do a digital clock. Obviously at this point, if this was my game, I'd be changing this font to a much more digital looking font, and I've covered that in a previous video on the UI thing, so go back and check that one out. Okay, so the next one. Now this is what I actually want for my game. I want an analog clock in my game. So I've already jumped into Blender prior to this. I just turned the mesh renderers off. So you can see I've already got a clock. If we just go over and have a quick look at it. So I've got a cylinder, which is literally a cylinder from Blender. I did an inset, I added a clock face text to it, and I just made these hands. So they are separate objects for a reason. I've not merged them or anything because I'm going to be rotating those through code. So this is where it gets a little more complex. Digital's easy. Okay, so I'm going to go back into my code. Let's have a quick look. So how did I do this? So I'm going to have 3 public objects. Again, we don't have to have them public. It's just so that I can easily access and easily type. I've got my hour hand, minute hand. I don't have a second hand yet, but I probably will add one at some point in the future. Okay, so what do I need next? I'm just looking at my, it's like I've already previously written this code because it took me a little bit to work it out. Maths has never been my strongest point, and I always have to sort of wade through and battle. Okay, so this next bit gets a bit interesting. Variable name is not great, so no marks for me. I need to get a temporary vector. That's what the T means, temporary. And I need to get the hours Euler angle. So basically, what are the local angles to this hand? So right now, if we look back in Unity, the angles are currently 0 degrees, and that's important. And it has to be local, because if I suddenly start rotating this clock, I don't want the rotation based on what its parent object is, because it can get really ugly in 3D games. So what's great about things like Unity and Unreal, and it probably even Godot, I don't pronounce it, is they handle a lot of this hard maths for you. So this is the bit that took me a while to work out. I only want to rotate around the Z axis. If I click this hand and I click on rotate, you can see it's only rotating up there through the Z axis. So my next line of code is I'm going to go the temporary vector. So temporary vector dot z equals, and then this is the hour hand. So what is our current hour? So I'm going to say, what we're going to say, I've already forgotten. We're going to go hours, I will be changing this shortly, which is why I'm just stuttering a little bit. Hours times, now of course we've got 306 degrees in the circle, but we've got 12 hours on the clock face. So this is going to give us our hours times 360 divided by 12. Now again, this is bad code, this is not optimized. But this will give us the hour on the clock, I hope. And then I'm going to transform it. So now I've got and hour. This is bad. I should have given these more pronounceable names. .transform.localEulerAngles equals tvec. The reason I've had to do this is in C# and Unity is I can't access this directly. I have to make a copy of the vector, update the vector, and then copy it back over itself. It's just how it works. So being 12 o'clock still, this is not a good example because you'll not see it's actually moved. So I'll do the minute hand while we're here. So I'm going to be lazy. I'm just going to copy and paste. Oops, not liking this. I'll just change that. Obviously I don't need to do that one again. I'm just going to overwrite it, and this time I'm going to go and mins. Is that what I called it? Yep, and min. Transform angles. And again, this time is now going to be our minutes. So our mins, and this time, because obviously there's 60 minutes in the clock face, we're dividing this by 60. So hopefully when I press save on this, I'm going to go back into Unity. Come on, Unity. Okay. And I'm now going to click on our clock. Where did I actually put it? There we go. It's looking for the hour hand, hand minutes, and hand seconds. So I'm just going to drag. That's my hour hand, I hope. That's my minute hand. Oh, no, it's not. I'm just going to press escape. I'm just going to double check, make sure I have actually got the right ones. Yeah, number 2 is the hour, number 3 is the minutes. Okay, so I've now got those hooked up to the clock. Because I'm not doing anything with seconds, it won't make any difference. So if I just press play now, really hoping this is going to work. The 12 o'clock, the 12-hour hand will stay where it is. There we go. So we can see the hour hand stayed where it is, and the minute hand. No, that is absolutely the wrong way around, isn't it? Because the small hand's moved to 12:26, and it's also the wrong hours. Let's have a look at what we may have done wrong. I'm sure you spotted it. I forgot to change that to mins. To min. Silly mistake. Okay, let's go and try again. That's with copy and pasting. You end up not actually concentrating on what you're doing. So let's press play. Okay, that's still wrong. I mean, the hour hands, sorry, the minute hands moved, but it's not the correct time. So why is it gone several minutes ahead? Let's have a closer look. Okay, so I know exactly what I've done wrong, and it's the way I've set up this project. This clock itself is already been rotated through some angles, so it's actually already influencing it. So it's expecting to see the clock and the hands from the other side. I've just basically messed about in Blender and then into Unity, and in this version I've just got it from looking from the wrong side of the camera, so I'll quickly fix that. There we go. I've basically just rotated the hands on the y-axis to fix our Blender to a Unity import, and now we've got the right time, the right place, as we showed in the first place. We can see the digital clock behind it. Okay, so I thought this video was going to be about 10 minutes, and I'm already coming up at 18, so I'm going to try and speed this last little bit up. So I think the one thing I don't like about this bit is the minutes clunk by. It jumps the time frame. In fact, can I demonstrate it? Basically, it jumps from, like, you know, when it rounds off the time and then jumps over. It's not smooth. So I'm going to try and fix it all in one go now, really quickly. So the one thing is, in my game, I want to run at a certain time of day. So I need to have some game time. So I'm going to come up here, a couple more variables, and I want to say, let's say my level starts at 9 PM. I want to be able to set this to 9 PM. Do I need anything else? No, that's fine. Just checking I've got the right things. Yep, that's fine. Okay, so I've got my hours, minutes and seconds. I'm now going to get those times. Now what I'm going to do is sort of keep track of these based on the real time. Okay, so what I need is I need my game hours, my game minutes, my game seconds. I don't need to worry about what the real time is at this point. All I'm going to do is increase our game seconds. That's the one that actually matters for me. So in my update function, I'm going to just budge these down a little bit, because I'm going to change those in a minute. So I'm just going to increase the game seconds by the time.delta time. I'm going to, again, to save a whole lot of you watching me type, If the game seconds are greater than 59, then we reset games back to 0, and then we can just increase the minutes by 1. If the game minutes has gone over 59, then the game minutes goes back to 0, and the game hours goes more than 1. If the game hours is more than 23, we just reset back to the hours back to 0. I'm not going to go into days of the week, weeks of the month, etc., etc. But if you want to, you absolutely can. So I've now got the time increasing based on the frame rate of the computer. So I can use this for my clock hands itself. I'm just going to override that code I just wrote earlier with a little bit more detail. And again, I'll explain what I've done. So I'm still upgrading the and how hour. I've still got that same function, but now I want the hands to move smoothly, because I don't see clock hands jumping from one number to the next number unless you're watching Back to the Future. That's the only time I've seen a clock hand suddenly jump. They tend to move smoothly through the time. So I'm adding to my hours a proportion of the minutes. Now, because my maths isn't great, I don't think very clearly on that. This took me a while to realise this is what it's doing. You know, that course the game minutes is still multiplied by 360 degrees of the clock, but it goes through 720 revolutions per hour. And then the same for seconds. The minute hand obviously is still going through 360 degrees, but there's 3,600 seconds for the minute hand going through the full turn of the clock or something like that. It took me a while to figure it out either way. So now my hands will move smoothly. Again, please feel free to play with these numbers. But because I've made these again, I've made these very public, I can now set it in the scene itself. So if I jump back into Unity, we should see our clock updating. If I click back on my clock code, there we go, hours, minutes and seconds. So if I don't do anything, just press play, it'll just sort of think it's midnight and not do anything fancy. There we go, it's just midnight. But if we're looking really close, we can see the minute hand moving very smoothly. But if I now decide to go, well, actually, I want to speed up time, well, we can see the hour hand is going. We'll undo that. If I go back to game minutes, we can see it's moving the whole lot. So actually, you could hook this to a variable and have some very interesting playtime with it. Or at least I quite like time. So now, if I just stop this and I go, I want my game to start at 9:30. I press play, and straight away it should jump to 9:30, and that's when my in-game level starts, if that's relevant to what you're doing. So we can see the minute hand is pointing straight down, and the 9 o'clock is about halfway between 9 and 10, as it should be. So it's moving through things. So again, I know it's been a much longer video than I was expecting. If you found any part useful, again, please like, subscribe, share the video, positive comment below, and I shall see you in the next video.